Theater in Shakespeare's day was sophisticated, plentiful, and hugely popular. Everyone from Queen Elizabeth, and after her King James I, to the aristocracy, to the lowliest commoner, attended and appreciated the plays. Theater for Londoners of the Renaissance was the equivalent of our plays, movies, television, and YouTube all rolled into one. Shakespeare was not the only famous playwright of the time. The two whose names you should be familiar with because their fame continues to today are Christopher Marlowe, who seems to have been a friend of Will's, and Ben Jonson, who wrote mostly comedies. Neither of these fellows was above getting into a brawl now and then. In fact, Jonson killed an actor in a duel, and Marlowe was killed in a bar fight, finding himself on the pointy end of a knife in the eye. As far as we know, Shakespeare confined his fights to the law courts. The playhouses that most people attended were the public theaters. There were several, and competition for audiences was stiff. The more famous public theaters were the straightforwardly named The Theatre, as well as the Curtain, the Rose, the Swan, the Fortune, and for our purposes the most important, the Globe. The Globe was Shakespeare's theatre, and like many other public theaters, it was located on the south bank of the River Thames. Although there were slight differences in the construction of Elizabethan public playhouses, they shared a great many similarities. To begin with, they were built with a circular footprint, like a giant letter O. In fact, Shakespeare often refers in his plays to this wooden O. Next, they were almost entirely open air, clearly open to the elements. There was no way to darken the theaters and no way to protect from the weather. Plays were produced during the daytime, between the months of May and October, rain or shine. Companies flew a flag above the theater to indicate that there was a performance on that day. The audience sat around the outside edge of the ring in 3 levels. The higher up one sat, the more expensive the seat. Partly this is because the closer one was to the roof, the better the cover on rainy days. But the far more compelling reason to sit higher up was that the elevation gave you a little distance from the 500 or so folks who, for the price of a single penny, could stand in the yard, or the area in front of the stage, and watch the play. They were less than affectionately known as the penny stinkers, then, after 1600, as the groundlings, a term coined by Shakespeare in reference to their resemblance to gape-mouthed fish. The atmosphere in the pit was more like a modern baseball game than what we consider to be